We want to talk about Guy. So let me just find my messages here. I'm not going to show any messages on screen today, just by the way, but I do have things to talk about. So I suppose what we want to do is we might do a little bit of a rewind, okay? Guy Zarian, you will probably remember as the guy. He's the person.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it's Michael Tripodi. He's the person who was accused of cheating at Worlds in Square One. There was an early timer stop. All right. There was an early timer stop. It was clearly not a valid solve. Like, it's so obviously not a valid solve. That is not in question. We're going to watch it here, I think.
Three people, I think, to get sub 1 on 4x4
Let's
blindfolded. The incentive is a cash prize, actually. I think up to $1,000.
Let's see.
Of cash
Stop yapping, Tripodi. Gaw. Imagine yapping, right? You just keep an eye on the timer here.
Actually, first seed for this competition, Samir Agarwal.
The timer stops before the solve is done. See, that stopped.
4.63. It's his second world championship. And
so there is that was one of the solves in question. Off the top of my head, there was that solve, and then there's the iconic judge looking super sus.
On that first scram.
Watch the judge. He's great. I'd love to talk to this judge. He's like, wait.
4.58.
Wow.
Wait.
First scram.
Wait. Oh, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. And then it doesn't get allowed.
God.
And imagine cancelled into flipping the equator. Obviously, if you do not flip the equator, that
then
is the
a delegate
but
is questioned.
Is a massive chunk taken off.
Then he's spoken to by the judge. Things are happening.
National record for Israel. 4.58 average now.
That's the icon. That's the thumbnail right there. So there's an early timer stop. Obviously. But then what happened after that was there was a sort of, I felt, slightly over the top response, which I covered in my video. Regardless, the point I'm trying to make back when I used to do intros, getting absolutely flamed and harassed, and that's not okay. That's what I'm not happy about. Okay. If it's cheating, WIC will investigate and they will come up with a conclusion. That's fine. I don't like cheating either, but to put someone on blast like this publicly, it's just not super cool. Oh, this one's a little. So that's kind of where that's a good summary of kind of where I was. In so much as I was like, hey, clearly not an okay solve. Let's just wait and see what the WIC finds from it. There was also another solve where he was accused in the same round, I'm pretty sure, of moving a top slice. No, not a slice, moving a top layer. Because the cube was in a it was bandaged up, right? It was a non-sliceable state. Dave Neville's here. Great. I'm so glad to hear. We were obviously broadcasting from the Dave Neville Memorial Stadium. And I kept saying, he's not dead. But then you weren't here, so I was like, oh man, what if he is dead? So thank you, Dave, for confirming you're still here with us. Love to hear that. So that's a rough sort of bit of background about the situation, okay? So I'm going to read some messages now. I'm not going to show them, but Guy messaged me out of the blue and said, hi, my name is Guy Zarian. And the one from the Square One finals in Worlds. And I was like, yeah, no, I remember. Funnily enough, I got flamed in that video, even though the video was about saying, hey, can everyone just chill? I got chewed by a couple of people in the Square One solver for being like, what did they say? What was their problem? They said I was taking advantage of a situation or something. Cause I read this, someone published a document who was just a lot of speculation and it just blew out of control. And I was like, this is not okay. You can't just publish stuff that has no backing with the aim of dogpiling on someone. That's not okay. That's not cool. So that's where I was anyway. So he said, I saw your video quite a while ago. Big fan, obviously. Makes sense. And just recently, the WIC closed the investigation and decided to take no action against me. So that was the first thing he said. JJ, are you trolling? Guy Zarian was the square oneer who was accused of cheating. Yeah, there you go. Okay, you're with us. He said, so there's some stuff, okay? Because there's no public announcement about this. There's no public investigation. The details of the investigation are not published. But, oh geez, I assume this is okay to talk about. But this is the facts. The investigation is closed. No action is being taken. So he said, I thought I'd let you know because of the video. And then I asked for some more details. I was like, wait. No action. Okay, that makes sense. So no ban, no disciplinary action. But I was like, so hold up. Did they DNF the solve with the early timer stop? And they said, yes, they did. So that solve is now gone. Okay, we happy? That solve is gone. And then he went on to talk about the last one, which was the U and D layer move in inspection. If it is presented to you in a non-sliceable position. So that is what I have. And then I asked him, are you happy for me to talk about it on stream? And he said, yeah, of course. So this is interesting. Specifically, it's interesting that the WCA have not disallowed the move in inspection solve. Why is that interesting? Because there is a regulation proposal buried down in the regulation, in the proposed regulation changes. All right. And we're going to have a look at that right now. It's here. So there's one deep down. Where's my mouse gone? It's on the wrong screen. Get over here. There's one deep down here. Okay. So P082 clarifies square one moves in inspection. Since for square one, all scramble states must be in a position where a slice move can be applied. A position in which a slice move cannot be applied is effectively misaligned. Misaligned puzzles may usually be adjusted in inspection. So that refers to Regulation AC32. Let's have a look at that, shall we? Regulation AC32. If the parts of the puzzle are not fully aligned when the cover is removed, then the competitor may align the faces as long as the misalignments stay within the limits of Regulation 10F. Jeez, Regulation 10F. Limits of acceptable misalignments for puzzles. Okay, so N by N cubes at most 40. So square one at most 45 degrees up UD or 90 degrees slice. That is confusing, isn't it, for square one? Because 45 degrees could be a couple of moves up, hey? Alex, yeah, wait, how much of a move was it? I know misalignments for scan and inspection are handled differently. I don't know exactly, but what I know is that solve by Guy, where he adjusted in inspection, was allowed because it was deemed to have been... it was deemed to have been in a position where a slice move couldn't be done. So he moved it. We used to do card inserts in New Zealand as well. So this change treats a square one puzzle in a position where a slice move cannot be applied, similar to a misaligned puzzle, and allows the competitor to move the top and or bottom faces of the puzzle to a legal position in inspection and continue with their attempt. In order to prevent an undue advantage being obtained, the competitor may only make moves that take the puzzle to the closest valid scramble state. As such situations are misscrambles, a reminder that an extra is required. Okay, Wait. In order to prevent an undue advantage, the competitor may only make moves that take the puzzle to the closest valid scramble state. Okay. Okay, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me, hey? People hated card inserts because it soaks up the lube. Sure. I mean, sure. I don't solve Squan, so sure. I'll take your word for that. It sounds quite precious though. But that's just me being a jerk. But sure. Sure. So Guy, I will clarify, is not suggesting that this regulation is a result of his solve. He's careful to say that in the messages. He was like, now it's like, I don't think they're doing it because of my solve, but I think it's covered under this. I think it's fair because of that. Does that make sense? Here he is. Just to be clear, the new rules suggested about the Squan. It's just my speculation that it's something to do with my last solve in round 1. I don't know for sure. Okay, so he's like, it might be about that. It might not be. So, what were we yapping about that? I was like, where's the guy? We were talking about the document. I don't really want to draw attention to the document because again, I don't want people to pile onto the document guy either necessarily. I asked, if you have any statement or anything that you'd like me to read in the vid, then I can do that. And he said, he continues about the guy with the doc. So the person who wrote the doc about Guy did reach out to Guy and apologize. He didn't know to what extent popularity it would gain. But that's the internet, everyone. Like, you put someone on the internet, it's there. It's there. Alex, what does the GitHub say? It might have been proposed before Worlds. That's a valid one. Alex, my little junior detective here. Check the GitHub. I never check the GitHub. July 22nd. So this is way before Worlds. So yeah, it isn't. It's absolutely before Worlds. Hey, wait, hold on a minute. Is that before Worlds? When was Worlds? 3 months ago. July 7th. Oh, it was after. Worlds was July. This is the last day of Worlds, which is streamed on July 7th. And this, where the heck's it gone? This was July 22nd. So I guess it was after. Okay, well, I mean, it still doesn't prove that it's anything to do with it, but it is. What we know is it happened after. It was proposed after Worlds. You know what I mean? So that is what we know. So I said, have you got anything to read out? He said that the guy who wrote the doc reached out and apologized. I was like, that's cool. And all he said was, and you could say that next time something like this happens, maybe don't publish a doc like that to the community because it's a lot of unwanted attention towards that person. Yeah. And this is what I said from the start. This was not it wasn't cool. I did not enjoy how intense the dog pile on Guy was. I understand that it was like it was volatile and it was it was a big deal because it was a person accused of cheating. I get that, but I still don't think it justified like what was essentially like a hate campaign. You know what I mean? It was pretty rough for a young person to deal with. Dave is currently catching up on 1.5 speed. Apparently my voice sounds funny on 1.5. I can't imagine how it would. I imagine it sounds distinguished. Superflip, relax. Lunch will be at like an hour and a half yet. So if you've got to go to bed, go to bed. Don't worry about it. Then anyway, that's the update. That's the update about Guy, Zarian, and the accused the supposed Square One cheating shenanigans from Worlds resolved. The WIC has investigated and they have disallowed the solves that were affected by the early timer stops. They have allowed the solve that had the turn in inspection because that's fine in the case of an unsliceable squange. And the document writer has apologized to Guy. And I think we can all go, well, I don't know. It feels resolved. It feels resolved to me. Polonium, I didn't ask specifically about motive. It's not a public report, so I don't really want to speculate, and I don't really want to talk about that unless the WCA publish what they're talking about. As far as I can tell from Guy, it was a mistake and unintentional. That can be debated, I guess, but the fact that the WIC have decided to let it slide is, I guess we got to take that, right? I guess we got to take that. But that is the update, everyone. That's the update on Geyserian and the Square One Worlds situation.